The strange thing about the message was that it was in English. The carving looked entirely authentic, meaning that a caveman, if you'll pardon the pun, had created it. I found it impossible that the same person could have scrawled the 5 letters below the picture. Behind me, Alex read it out loud. "The jackal and the cave. How strange," he said. Indeed, that was the message, written entirely in capital. I dismissed the painting and turned back to the main path. It was obviously a hoax. There was no way a caveman could write in any script, let alone in English. Probably some kid mucking around in days long past. But it still made me uneasy, regardless of what I assumed it to be. If it was a hoax, then why does it look so damn authentic? Eventually, the 4 of us had our fill of the jackal in the cave, and after Ashley had snapped a photo of it for a keepsake, we continued into the cave. I was forced to light 2 flares at a time now, to ward off the choking darkness. The diminishing effectiveness of the flares puzzled me. In all my time spelunking, I had never encountered anything like this. I wondered whether it was a defective bunch or some other reason. It had to have a logical or rational reasoning behind it. Behind me, Alex and Samantha were still locked in conversation. I picked up tidbits of the heated debate as we walked. They, like me, were still pondering the origin of the admittedly ominous cave drawing. I wish they'd just drop it, or at least quiet down. I looked to my right, saw nothing but a sloping cave wall, and looked away, back to the trail. I froze, and turned. There, among the rock that I had just glanced at, was another carving. I felt sick as I hurried over to it. The red glow of the flares flickered on the wall, dancing over the picture, making it look demonic under the sparse light. It depicted a scene much like the last, except there were only 2 bodies on the floor. The third was in midair, seemingly held by an appendage, not quite an arm or not quite a tentacle, but coming from the jackal. The pillars around the scene appeared again, except with small, indistinct etching on them. Like before, only the faint outline of the jackal appeared, the rest of it having been scribbled or scratched out, and I couldn't tell which. Underneath it was a 5-word message, one that I read quickly and immediately wished I hadn't. "Go back. The jackal awaits," it said. I turned from the carving as the others moved in to get a good look and tried not to panic. The air felt thin and dry, much like the air in the Andes. I'd gone climbing there a few years ago, and terrible things happened, which explained my preference for underground rocks as opposed to aerial ones. But that's a story for another day and another time. Around me, the darkness was thick. I could no longer see without the flares and aid. Suddenly, irrationally, I knew if I stayed in this underground labyrinth for much longer, I'd slowly lose my sanity. But that was the mindset of an irrational man speaking. I leaned against the opposite wall, breathing deeply and slowly to regulate my rapid heartbeat. Spots danced in front of my eyes momentarily as I oxygenated my blood. Slowly, the panic faded, to be replaced by a sense of calm. I didn't get overworked often, but when I did, I tended to edge towards to hysteria. Taking one last deep breath, I straightened up and looked around. That's when I realized that Ashley was gone. Slowly, I stood, scanning the passage for any sign of Ashley. Samantha and Alex were still arguing over the cave carving. They were typically argumentative of identical twins. As Alex drew breath to continue his opinion, I stepped between them, holding my hands up in peace. "Have either of you seen Ashley? He's gone," I said, stepping back once I saw that they had ceased fighting and listened to what I said. "No," they said in unison. I sighed in frustration and looked around the cavern. There was no trace of Ashley anywhere. "He couldn't have gone far, not with that massive pack he had strapped to him," Alex said reasonably, possibly sensing the panic that I felt. The entire expedition had had problems from the start. First the dropouts, then Jason, and now this. It was like we were cursed or some other superstitious bullshit. I was born a skeptic and proud of it. "He could have only gone forward or back," Samantha said, walking forward to the edge of the light and looking around. "We should split up and—" "No," I said resolute. "We're not going to split up under any circumstances. If Ashley went back, he'll eventually get out of the cave by himself. So, we go forward and we hope that stupid prig hasn't done anything reckless," I interjected flatly, turning away from the duo and proceeding into the darkness. After a shared glance, the meaning of which was undecipherable, at least to me, they followed. And so we went. As we progressed, I felt the path lead downwards. It was a marginal slope, undetectable by the naked eye, but I felt myself pushing harder into the rock with each step. It wasn't of any concern to me. Such natural formations were common. We proceeded ever further into the depths of the cave, calling out Ashley's name as we went. Then I saw it. It was over to the right, like the others. It was, of course, another carving. I felt sick as I scanned it. The titular jackal had increased in size yet again. The tentacle appendage hybrid was shorter, as if the beast had pulled it back. The previously held corpse was ominously absent from the scene. I tried not to think about what happened to it. The pillars with the carvings on them also appeared. As before, the jackal had majority of its detail erased, making it little more than an outline. However, there was detail on the edge of the beast this time. I knew the short lines represented skin, apparently leathery and cracked. Then I read the message. It was again 5 words long, and my eyes widened in a flash of shock and fear. "This is your last chance," it read. I stumbled back from the carving in fear, raising my hands in front of me as if it was alive and coming for me. As I hit the back of the wall, I saw Alex and Samantha close in to study the carving. They seemed unaffected by the ominous message as I had been. I gasped for breath, winded by the sudden impact of the wall against me. I tried to clear my mind, to cut through the mix of panic and fear I now felt having read the carving. The carving, which I no longer thought was the work of pranksters. I turned to my left, hoping to see Ashley. Instead, I saw the gateway. It appeared to be a stone arch hewn from black granite. It followed the contour of the cave precisely, creating a strange effect. Carvings of various things, symbols, letters, and pictures covered the gateway, which appeared to be seamless, without joint or cut. I approached it almost unwillingly, feeling my heart rise into my throat as I stared at the ground immediately behind the gateway and onwards. The walls, floor and roof of the cave from the gateway onwards were covered in a fine white dust. Alex and Samantha joined me at the edge of the gateway. We were silent, studying the gateway. I looked at the top and saw yet another 5-letter message carved there. "The gateway to the jackal," read the message. "And hell with it," I thought. Then, I heard the scream. It was Ashley screaming. "We have to go to him," Alex yelled, turning to me. With every fiber of my body, I resisted stepping through the gateway. I knew if we did, terrible things would happen. If I stepped through the gateway, I knew sooner or later I would meet the jackal. But I had to know about Ashley, the carvings, everything. I had to. So, with a deep breath, and trying to still my hands, I made my choice. Together, we stepped through the gateway to Ashley and the dark beast beyond.